Hello, everyone. My name is Fred, and welcome to Off the Mark. As you may tell from how much uh, you can't hear him, Luke is not with us today. This is actually one of the episodes that I have been thinking about doing. Obviously, I don't think Luke really wanted to do this, but yeah. But today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through a review that I've been thinking about doing. And to help me with this, I have this person.
Hey everyone, name's Will. I'm Fred's brother. So yeah,
How close to your microphone are you? Microphone.
I've just got my headset on.
Like put your mic like the speaker like a little bit away from your mouth.
Is this good, or is it a bit too far?
Oh no, that's completely fine. That's cool. All right, are you ready for this?
I hurt my thumb opening a bottle.
Okay, great start. Okay, so today, as you may guess from the title, we are going to be reviewing something a bit different. So, on this channel, we obviously review a lot of things. We review TV shows, films, like pop culture stuff. One thing that I've wanted to do, which I'm into, is anime. And one of the animes that I am very, very much like, I'm really, really a fan of this anime, and it is called Overlord. Now, you may think, what is Overlord? Well, Overlord is a type of anime called isekai, which is where where the main character is taken to another plane of existence or reality or alternative Earth. And this could be from they have died and reincarnated as someone else, or they have just been taken from from where they are to another place, which is completely different. And a lot of it is in sci-fi fantasy type. So yeah, and yeah, both me and my brother Will are fans of this genre of anime. And yeah, so Will, have you got anything to say?
Um, Not really. It's just
Do you want to, yeah.
it's
Do you just
really
want to
good.
get right into it?
Yeah.
All right, let the debauchery begin. So, our first question is, what is Will? What is Overlord?
It's of course, as you said, it's an isekai. It's when someone gets. Pretty much it's just like a nerd or kind of a guy who enjoyed playing a game called Yggdrasil and just decided to stay on for the entire length of the game's shutdown period. But of course he accidentally got trapped into side of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, obviously, our story does follow a young man who I'm not too sure if they've actually said what his real name is or not. Well, they might have, but it escapes me.
I'll search it out.
Yeah. If you if you want to look it up and then say, that'd be cool. But yeah, our story follows him as he is in the late stages of his game of a game that him and a bunch of his friends have played for a while called Idrisil. And in this game, he plays a character called Mamonga, who is the guild leader of a guild. And it's obviously the last day of them playing the game, and before it does finally shut down, he takes one more stroll through his guild lighthouse, which is called the Great Tomb of Nazarick, and he sits on this massive throne and think, I'll just sit here and log off, and I'll wake up and gets just some sleep. So he does that. But when the timer runs out, what happens is he wakes up in the game and realizes that everything's not as it seemed because all the NPCs that cannot talk are now talking to him. And he is now in the body of his character, who actually is called not called well, he is called Momonga, but he is an elder lich, which if you don't know what that is, look up an elder lich. It's quite an interesting character, well, from fantasy. And he's known as the supreme being, and he's basically a all-powerful monster from fantasy that can basically do everything and just do loads of spells and stuff. That's just the gist of him. He's just an overpowered character that can literally do anything and defeat anyone. Now,
Yeah, I've searched up what his real name is. It says Suzuki Satoru.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to remember that name. Yeah,
No.
I
think I knew it. I think I knew it like a while ago, but just forgot. So that's helpful. But yeah, so Overlord has 3 seasons. All of them are currently available. And if anyone wants a good suggestion for something new and you are into anime, please look at this one because this is probably my favorite anime. I very much enjoyed it. We both of us have gone back and rewatched all 3 seasons before recording this, so we have a bit more fresh perspective.
Yes, and it's mostly just because we just wanted to watch it again, and then we thought, let's review it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was actually quite a fun experience because we got to look at stuff from Overlord and think, oh, so they have mentioned that before. So okay. So do you want to go through each season one by one?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So season 1 is basically where the main character, who is called Momonga at this point, obviously wakes up in the game, and now he has to come to his senses and realize that he's in this new world and he has to explore it because they've been taken to a completely different world where all the game characters that were from his guild are now in a completely different fantasy world, and they just have to explore it. And along the way, they make friends and enemies, and they actually have some really cool, interesting adventures. And yeah, so okay, Will, what is there anything you want to say about first season?
First season, of course, it's like him trying to get his name out there, and of course, he ends up adopting like a new type of name, which I'm pretty sure you were already gonna get to later on.
Yes. So for everyone watching this, at a certain point, I think after episode 4 or 5, he changes his name from Lord Momonga to Eins Orgone. Now, Eins Orgone is an interesting name because it is the name of the guild that him and his friends started. And he adopts it so that this name can be spread and like have a bit of fear and show everyone that there is a new overlord in town and he is absolutely badass. So yeah, that's the gist.
He's just pretty much someone who you never want to mess with. Because like in his normal form, like he isn't really able to use like swords and that, but he's able to master like any type of magic.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So funny you say that he cannot use sword because one of the things that you see is the fact that he is able to change his class by switching into another body which is he takes up the identity of a raven armored adventurer called Momon, who he disguises himself as this adventurer to gain more knowledge of this world and try and gain trust of like people around, so that he can realize, okay, so what the currency, like what new things he has to learn. And yeah, so let's talk about the characters. Obviously, we've talked about Aizelgone. He is obviously an Elder Lich, the supreme being, all-powerful overlord. And yeah. Now, along with him are the Floor Guardians. And the Floor Guardians are these supernatural beings who were created by the supreme beings, and they help guard certain floors of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. The leader of them is called Albedo, and she is a interesting character.
She's the overseer.
She's the overseer of the Floor Guardians. And you'll notice that none of these of the Floor Guardians are actually human. So Albedo is a succubus. And if you don't know what a succubus is, I'm not going to explain it. Go look it up for yourself.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, just don't ruin the surprise. Wait, yeah, for yourself.
Mm. And she's a very interesting character because she's madly in love with Ainz. And throughout this entire series, you see her trying to make many moves on him, and a lot of things happen.
Yeah, she wants the bone.
A lot of things. Yes. Then you have the strategic advisor of Ainz, and that is Demiurge, who is a demon. So this one is clever, extremely smart, and there's a running gag in it where like he always thinks, "Oh, I know exactly what Lord Ainz's plan is," and it just turns into Ainz going like, "Yeah, that was definitely my idea from the beginning. Yeah, good." I find it quite funny when he does that.
Yeah, then like his inner voice is just going like, why does he keep on thinking I know everything? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like I didn't even know there was a single plan when there was like 4.
Yeah. So our next character is Shoutier Bloodfallen, who is a vampire. Now, she is another one of the Floor Guardians, and she's also madly in love with Ainz. And we get a few development things with her in the first season. And yeah.
Wait, what's the term she used at the end of season 1?
What do you mean?
When she looked at herself, what one of the first things she said?
Oh, what? Oh, they're gone.
You're like, oh, I was flat as a washboard.
I'm as flat as a washboard.
Yes.
Great. Now, the next Floor Guardians are twins, and they're called Aura and Mora.
Both of them are...
Both of them are twins. They're both dark elves. But here's the interesting thing. They're both cross-dressing dark elves. So, Aura is a female dark elf who dresses like a boy, whereas Mora dresses as a girl when is a boy.
Yeah, and apparently, his creator said, "Oh, he dresses like that so that like magic can flow more easily." Yeah, apparently, and then like Demiurge says, "Oh, maybe we should try to make all the male Floor Guardians dress up as women. It's like,
Yeah. The thing in this is the fact that if like female characters are a lot more better at adapting the magic, that's the whole thing. Which I understand. Just is an interesting way of putting it. And finally, our last floor guardian is Will's personal favorite, and his name is Cocytus. And I will let Will explain this one.
yeah, because okay, he confused me at first because I thought he was a frost mantis, which he isn't. But because he's described as meant to be the physical representation of the word warrior, and he is. Wait, I had a list up as well. That it says that he is the guardian of the fifth floor as well,
Yeah.
and he is a massive four-armed tank wielding a poleaxe. And in season 2, you learn about something about him, but I will probably get to that when we get there.
Yeah. Um. So so those are the floor guardians. There are two other floor guardians, but within the series, we don't really get much on them. But we'll get to them when they might actually appear.
Yeah, we'll get to one of them in when we talk about season 2.
Yes. So, the whole story of season 1 is, like I said, they have to obviously try and find out like as much as they can about this new world they find themselves in, and throughout it they meet new people, and they gain both friends and enemies. Uh, for the interesting thing is, the first 4 episodes, I'm pretty sure, you have Ainz, but then from episode 5 until I want to say 9, 8 or 9, it is you follow Ainz being uh Momon, and shows how like the adventurers, like how their lives are, how like they are guided by money and jobs, and you learn a lot of things. Uh, Through the beginning of it, you learn that there are 3 kingdoms. You have the Riestige Kingdom, the Bahura Empire, and the this one. It annoys me that I keep forgetting this. The Slain Theocracy. Now, each of them is ruled by a certain democracy. So the Bahura Empire is ruled by a young emperor who doesn't really care about much. To be honest, he reminds me of another character from anime
Yeah, me too.
who Will certainly does not like, and we will get to this character when we actually cover this other anime.
Yeah, and for that episode, prepare for me to rant.
Yes. So the Prestige Kingdom is ruled by a king, and one of the characters that you do see in the story is the head warrior of the king's kingdom, and yeah, and the Slain Theocracy is ruled by a load of like magic users, like mages, wizards, and just people like that. And you meet one of the first arcs of this story is where Ainz investigates a bunch of killings by men dressed in armor, um, who have attacked this village. He appears, kills a few of the soldiers, and saves a young girl and her sister, and then sets off to the village to try and get rid of the other soldiers there, and realize that they're actually not soldiers, but they are men who were sent by the slain theocracy, and they'd stolen armor and weapons from the Bahura Empire to make it look like they had done it, so that the war between the Re-Estige Kingdom and the Bahura Empire would continue. And yeah. As this goes on, the villagers see that Ainz is just a magic caster. He plays himself as just a magic caster, and yeah, he gains their trust, and uh, he asks them to help him through it. And he learns that obviously his magic, not his magic, his money, and anything from his world does not work in this world. So obviously, the gold that he uses is worth nothing, but its value is kind of valuable in its weight. So it could be melted down into like other things. After learning this information, the head warrior of the Prestige Kingdom comes into the village and meets with Ainz. Now, the head warrior is known as Gazov Stronov, and he is a recurring character in this season. And we realize that the reason why that these men are here are to kill him. And the end of this arc just goes into a bit of a thing where Ainz is asked to protect this village while Stronov goes off to fight the people who were disguised as soldiers. Where he nearly dies in this fight. By the way, if you've not seen it, go watch it before watching this, because there will be spoilers.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yes. We'll be literally talking about everything going through. So yeah. As we go through, yes, as we go through this story. But before Gazov Stronov is killed, he's teleported back into the village. And now Ainz has taken his place with Albedo by his side, and they engage this small group of magic casters. Now they don't take him seriously. They're just thinking, "Oh, he's just like a fool who's making empty threats." But they regret this big time when literally it takes him 3 moves to literally kill every single angel, the leader of the angels, and then even when they pull out like a crystal that can summon like the most powerful angel in existence, he still takes it out with like one shot by shouting black hole and sucking it into a vortex.
Yeah, no, I remember there is one attack which they did where like he just started laughing and was like,
Yeah,
oh, so this is what pain feels like.
yeah. And then Albedo just goes crazy and then literally just shouts at like she's gonna kill all of them. And I'm just like, all right, girl, just calm down. He said he felt pain, but he ain't gonna die. So yeah. But yeah. Obviously, Ainz and Albedo kill all these men. And after this, the arc ends and we move on to the next arc, which is, like I said, where you follow Momon's adventures, and we learn that there are some interesting aspects of being an adventurer. You see that there are people who put out requests for people to kill, for adventurers to kill monsters, to help guard things, to help with just everyday like stuff. So it's like just dangerous quests. And what his plan and idea is to basically try and gain as much attention and become like one of the top ranking adventurers and get to the I'm trying to remember what the ranking is. What's the top one? Is it Adamantite class?
That's adamantite, I think.
Yeah. So in this, you have like you have like these badges or like these like uh net like so these like neck chains which have like pieces of metal which like classify what type of adventurer you are. Copper class is the bottom, and adamantite class is like the top. And his goal is to try and get to that without like any issues. And this arc is interesting for the most part. You meet a group of adventurers called the Swords of, I think, is it the Swords of the Black Knight?
It might be.
Yeah. So the
Um,
four Swords of the Black Knight, and this mission is them helping protect a young man from the city, get to the village that he actually saved from the bandits. And along the way, he proves that he is a very strong and capable warrior by basically mowing through a bunch of goblins and ogres.
oh yeah, I just looked it up. It yeah, basically the like the plate, of which of course tells everyone what rank you are, goes copper, iron, silver, gold, platinum, mithril, orichalcum, and adamantite. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the rankings. So when within this arc, you meet a new character by the name of Hamsky, and Hamsky is a giant Ouroboran hamster that is known as the Wise King of the Forest. And without any issue, Ainz takes down Hamsky and says, "You're now my servant." And Hamsky becomes one of Momon's companions. Um, Through this story, you see two strange individuals. One is called Lady Clementine, who is a strange character.
Yeah.
She's quite a sadistic person. Like, you can tell she's a bad guy because she literally laughs maniacally and keeps on licking her knife.
Does she
Like,
look?
she has. So, like, she's licked it. Like, I don't even know how many times like she's licked it within the series. Like, she likes how like she stabs people, makes them feel pain.
Okay.
And the other one is a mage who I'll just refer to as Kaji, because I can't even remember what his name is. His name is Kaji. I'm not going to look
Okay.
it up because he's not a very interesting character. He's just a magic caster. And
Yeah.
these two are trying to raise a army of the undead and try and gain some power in an experiment. After Clementine abducts the young boy who we have met, who is called Inferior Balliard, just
Yeah.
for you to let you know what his name is.
Yeah, yeah, I was trying to think of what his name was.
Yeah, his name is Inferior Balliard. And they basically kidnap him so that they can do their experiment. And along this part of the story, um, Kaji has to fight Momon's aide, who's known as Nabe, and we'll get to who Nabe is in a minute because Will has a very funny phrase for who she's part of. And yeah,
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else then.
no. We'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get
So while Nabe is fighting Kaji, uh, Momon is fighting Clementine, and they kind of show off their skills and stuff. And by the end of it, they just win. And Momon just, oh my gosh, he switches back to being Ainz and just kills Clementine in the most horrible way by literally putting his arms around her and crushing her to death and just breaking her. And it's oh, death hug. Applaud my magnificence in killing. Thank you. um, but yeah, this arc ends with them leaving the bodies for the guards in the city to look at and say, "Oh, so this is who did it." But they took some valuable items and gave Inferior back to his grandmother, and that's where this arc ends. Now, before we begin this next one, we have to introduce some other characters. Now, the what another servant of Ainz is known as Sebus Tidus, and he looks like a old man in like a black and white suit. And you can have a look at him, and he's known as the leader of the battle maids, who are also known as the Pleiades. And Will has an interesting phrase for it.
Yeah, he is, Sebas, aka the leader of the homicidal best girl gang.
Now, interesting phrase. The battle maids or the Pleiades are 6 different women who are dressed as maids, but they are very unique. So, if I get their names up, so you have Narbril Gamma. So you have Narbril Gamma, who's Nabe. Then you have Yuri Alpha, Lupus Regina Beta, Solution Epsilon, CZ2168 Delta, and then you finally have the last one, who is Will's favorite, who's known as Entema
Vasilis,
Zeta.
I wouldn't say she's my favorite. Okay, it's just her and Lupus Regina are my 2 joint favorites.
Yes. Now, each of them are interesting because none of them are human. So, Entema is a arachnoid. I think. Would you say she's an arachnoid?
They outright say in like the manga, I think it is that she's an arachnoid.
So she's an arachnoid.
Yeah.
Nabe is a doppelganger, so she basically is able to shapeshift. Yuri Alpha. So Yuri Alpha is a Dullahan. So basically, Dullahans from Irish mythology. It's like they can take off their heads and stuff. It's the origin. It's the origin of the Headless Horseman.
I was going to say, aren't they undead warriors? Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Lupus Regina Beta is a werewolf. Solution Epsilon is a slime.
Right,
and
say this one. With Lupus Regina's hat, right? I always thought that the 2 like bumps on either side. I always thought that those were her ears, just underneath the hat.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
And finally, Delta is a cyborg. Now, now we've said that, I can continue. So, our next part of season 1 is an arc where we follow Shoutier looking for someone who has a special ability who will be able to serve Ainz. Along with them is Sebas and one of the other maids who is known as Solution. And they have to pose as like rich aristocrats and try and learn a few things. While they are posing, Shoutier finds someone called Brain Unglaus, who is the leader of a bunch of bandits and mercenaries. And he has an encounter with her, fights her, loses, and every single one of his men are killed, apart from him. And in a bit of a skirmish afterwards, Shoutier is blasted with a bunch of magic, and you don't see what happens to her. And then you find out that Shoutier has betrayed Ainz, and you realize that the magic that they blasted with her was some type of paralyzing, like, mind washing thing. It's weird. But I think it's an interesting part of the story. And through this, we see that Ainz has to come to the conclusion that he may be about to walk into a fight that he cannot win and he cannot survive. And yet he still does it. And he takes on Shoutier head on, fights her, and we see like a lot of interesting things. So he uses items called world items, and these are like legendary like items that are basically able to destroy the world and kill anything. And they are owned by the other members of Ainz's guild. And obviously, because they are possibly not in this world, and he doesn't know if they're ever going to come back. He just thinks, I'm going to use them for this fight, and he hopes that none of them will mind if they actually ever do come back. So that is the gist of what he does, and through this and his magic skills, he wins this fight. But in the process, he actually kills Shoutir. And then afterwards, he has to spend, I think, half of his treasury just to revive her.
Yeah. I was gonna say how because I think they said like it was over like 10,000 gold or something.
Yeah, so he spends like a lot of gold just to revive her. And she comes back, mind washing is done, and she's back to normal. Um, One more character that we're introduced to is called Pandora's Actor. Now, this is a character that was designed by Ainz himself. And Pandora's Actor is a shapeshifter who is dressed in like a yellow army uniform.
Yeah, it's like a yellow uniform with like red accents.
Yeah. And he's a bit of like an eccentric person. Like he can turn into anyone he wants, but he's quite a weird character, and I actually quite like him. He's quite funny.
Yeah,
Now,
I like
that
how
is
he.
how,
Well,
that is how season one ends. Now, season two. Actually, no. Before we get into season two, I'm just going to say this. What would you rate this season?
okay, I feel like that is a very very strong like opening season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I give it like what, like an eight?
So 8 out of 10. That's good. I
Yes,
like that. It's cool.
eight. Yeah, because of course this is meant to be like the introduction of Ainz and everyone else.
Yeah. And also the fact that this is probably one of the best animes opening ever.
Yeah,
Please look at this opening. It's probably one of the best, and I absolutely love it.
it's the first one on my playlist as well.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Now I would give this actually 9 out of 10
Hmm.
because I love this. I love the first season. It's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you think of what the perfect open like first season for it could be, it's kind of what you think it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah, because of course, like when we first looked at it, I was kind of that guy. Yeah, it doesn't really look all that interesting. Because of course, I saw Irons and went, "Oh, yep, he's the main villain." But nope, he's a main.
no,
He's a protagonist, which I love.
yeah. Even though he does like evil things and does show that he can be a villain,
He's still a nice.
he he's the main character.
Yeah, and he still is a bit of a nice person as well, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
he
in
shows mercy to like the floor guardians and to people. So yeah,
yeah, like in episode one with Aura and Mare, like both of them do like fight like a massive fire monster as well, and
mm,
then he goes up to them and goes, "Oh, you two must be thirsty," and just gives them a glass of water each. And it's like it essentially just shows that he may look and act like a merciless overlord, but he still has a heart. He still
yeah.
has a heart underneath
Now,
that.
yeah.
The
Now,
occasional
season
really.
two, season two of Overlord is a interesting one because essentially the first arc of this season is based around a small like type of battle slash war between the armies of Nazarick and the Lizard Men.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm just gonna say this real quick, right? In my personal opinion, season two is kind of like they're doing all of the side quests. You know, like in a video game, like you do all of the
Yeah,
side quests so that you're able just to go straight through all of the main story.
yeah,
It's like this is all like the like fun side quests, whereas season three is like, oh yeah, okay, where they go like, okay, yeah, now that we've done all the side quests, we can now go through the main story. It's like that's how I
yeah,
feel.
yeah. You're not wrong. That is literally how it is. Now, throughout this, we see that the whole point of this is to test the lizard men, and then obviously try and like do an experiment to see what their strategy and how they will fight. Now, the one person who Ainz trusts to take care of the lizard men and to fight this battle is his best warrior, and that is Kokaidos.
Yeah, your boy.
And
Oh,
this is probably the arc. This is probably the arc where Kokaidos shows like himself off the most. And through a lot of like disagreements and stuff, like we learn that Ainz's plan is to get Kokaidos to think for himself in this situation, so that they don't have to rely on him to always answer their questions and to always look upon him for advice. Even though that he is their leader, he wants them to like make decisions for themselves, so that in the case that he's not there, they can do it. And we follow like a lot of like the lizard men and who they are, like what their history is, what tribe they are, and yeah, we just see that obviously because of this fight, the lizard men all come together to try and fight off this impending doom.
yeah,
Now,
it's kind of like it kind of shows how resourceful like they're able to be as well, though. Like how
they're not fighting
resourceful
each
they're,
other.
yeah, and like they're able to be this coordinated under short notice as well, which kind of does catch Kakuta's eye as well.
Yeah. Now, I think that this was probably like the best thing for Kokaitis because it kind of showed off that he is more than just a warrior. He's someone who is able to think for himself. And we see this for when he stands up against Ainz and just goes, I don't think that you should just kill them. I think that what you should do is subjugate them and make them bend to your will. And then I will help you like get to like the stage where we can take over their village and all the lizard men will follow us. And we see a lot of this. It's good. I think it's good
Yeah,
development.
yeah,
So
because of course it gives Kakashi like a lot more of a character. Like in
yeah,
season one, you kind of see Kakashi go, oh yeah, he's probably like some massive like meathead. But in this, but in like in season two, it kind of proves that he's more than just a warrior. That he has his own opinions and his own like moral code.
yeah.
Yeah,
It shows
like
that
he,
he's more than just a stereotypical like warrior. He's someone who is able to think. And the final fight between the leaders of the lizard men and Kokaitis is actually really interesting, and I'll let you explain this.
yeah, oh, I love it. Basically, it's he essentially, since he's actually a fairly honorable person, he summons like these two like ice pillars and just says to them, "Want whoever enters through this quote unquote gate, there is no turning back. Then you will have. Then I will fight you." And oh, I love it. Where essentially, he kind of shows them how like a true warrior does things, right? And of course, he then reveals that he always has like a weapon in each hand, right? Being four, but since he doesn't see them as being like the biggest threat, he only uses two. and he shows them that they might be honourable, courageous, and well coordinated, but they still have a long way to go. And of course, he ends up killing all of them apart from two of them. And then he's in a standoff between them, and he just goes, "You know what, before you two die, I would like to know your name so you may be honoured." And I absolutely love that bit where it kind of shows he's more than you think, of course, as I said before. And as you said before, of course, he ends up killing them, and he actually protests and goes like, could we try to resurrect them?" And Irons go, "Okay, yes, we will do it." And speaking of Cocytus he is fairly happy with this as well, because he enjoyed fighting them because, of course, like their warrior spirit.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good arc, and obviously, and Cocytus is then given the mantle of being in charge of the lizard men, like ruling over their village, and if they ever need help, then the other floor guardians have to come to Cocytus' call, and that's cool.
Yeah, but I want to see more of that. I want to see Cocytus going around the lizard man village, like being almost like a marshal. I want to see more of him interacting with the lizard men, and I want to see their reaction to him. Because I feel that like, say in season 4, they'd be at the point where like they'd actually be used to him, and they would know he isn't going to kill them like that. He isn't trying to rule through fear.
Yeah.
I want to see more Titus and interacting with the lizard men.
Yeah. So I've only just realised this, which is interesting. Season two has 2 arcs in it, technically.
Oh yeah, it does. It has
Because the last one technically it is. So the last one is 2 separate stories, but they're molded into one, and because they both happen at the same time. And the whole point is Sebas finds a young girl called I think it's Tamore.
Yeah.
And he looks after her, cares for her, and tries to make her feel comfortable. And the reason for this is because Sebas's creator, who is got one of the funniest names, called Lord Touch Me, was always like the biggest fan of like righteous justice and helping people is the right thing. And Sebas has lived by that. Even though he works for someone who is seen as a bad guy sometimes, he believes that Ainz is the supreme one and that he should be obeyed. I find it really interesting because this story dynamic shows off that Sebas does think for himself and he is loyal, but he does have his own mind. And when it comes to the time when Ainz catches him off guard and says, "You've been a busy person, I want to know what you've been up to," so that he can clear the air and prove that Sebas is actually loyal. And it's good, like, because when it comes down to it, Ainz tells Sebas, "You can either serve me and be the loyal dog that you've always been, but you have to kill this girl. You have to kill this girl that you've just rescued." And and Sebas tries to speak about it, and Ainz says, "I don't want you to do it with your words. Show me with your actions." And Sebas literally puts his arm back and goes to punch her to kill her. Cocytus then steps in, puts his hand in front of her, stops Sebas from punching her and killing her, and then Ainz is like, "Well, you've just proven that you are loyal, and this was just a test. So she's not gonna die. Like, you just proven that you are loyal, and that's good." So this is obviously like development for Sebas. After this, we then have an arc where throughout this entire second season, we've had like words of like an organization called Eight Fingers. And Eight Fingers is like a type of criminal syndicate that does like drug operations. They like have people murdered. They're quite corrupt. They have their hands in everything, and they do like a load of like crazy stuff.
Yeah,
And
and they're
it's
also
interesting.
they're the people who, because of course before Severus found Tamare, she was a slave, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
and Eight Fingers were the people who she was a slave for.
Mm.
And yeah, there's a whole thing where like they ask for her back, and he just says no.
Yeah, but in the end, they obviously just kidnap her.
Yeah,
And yeah, um, during this, everyone. So I thinks this could be a time when we can try and take on the reins of Eight Fingers and try and control their syndicate and just make it so that they have humans under their control that have influence in each kingdom. And in the end, they do this, but stopping them is a group called, is it Blue Roses?
it's Blue Rose.
Blue Rose.
Blue Rose.
And
Yeah.
in an interesting fight between Entema and a character called Evil Eye, we kind of see that.
Yeah.
And there's
Two
a lot more.
characters are yeah, yeah both. Oddly, funnily enough, both characters are actually best girl material as well.
Right.
What? Okay. Well, they're okay. No, but Eli is material for good
Okay.
material for that. Well,
Okay.
not okay. I'm not saying like perverse,
No, no,
but
no, no, no. But like, obviously,
just
yeah.
good
Okay, I
characters.
understand what you mean, Will. You don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah, just people usually go like, "What you on about?"
Jeez, if this is what you're going to be like with this, I'm just scared of what you're going to be like when we do Re-Zero.
Don't worry, Fred.
Okay. So
Yeah.
after this fight, Demiurge actually steps in, but he's wearing a mask, so they don't know what he looks like. And it turns into a bit of like a thing where Ainz has come up with a plan as he will take on the persona of Momon to look like the hero, and Demiurge will have to pretend to be this demonic evil demon that wants to like kill everyone in the kingdom, and they want to make it so that Momon becomes like a legendary hero that everyone can count on, and when it comes to when they have to rip that hope away from them, then they're able to. And yeah, so we see like a battle between Ainz, Nabe, Evil Eye versus Demiurge and the other Pleiades. And it's interesting because it was actually just the funniest thing is the fact that you see Nabe and the three Pleiades just sat down having a conversation like, so how's your day been? And then you have Ainz and Demi just sat down saying, okay, so how's the plan going? On the other side, you have Evil Eye versus the other Pleiades just like going all at it, and they're like, I think it might just be time.
Yeah.
Like, we
Wait.
just
So
need to
so
fight,
which?
just fight, fight,
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah. So which Pleiades was Evil Eye against? So she was against Yuri Alpha, Rufus Regina, and
Delta?
yeah, Delta. Whereas
Actually, she was
Nabe,
only against two. She was only against two.
yeah, and then of course Nabe was just sat down talking to uh,
Solution, Entma,
and
and
uh,
hmm, I don't
wait,
know.
wait. Hmm. Yeah, but then of course everyone is surprised, going like, "Oh, Entoma's got a normal voice." And of
Yeah,
course, yeah, because Evil Eye has like a spell that she created, which is
it's
like a
like an
pesticide.
insecticide.
Yeah, and which of course Entma likes to take voices from
Mm.
people using, I think it's like a voice leech or something. Because of
Yeah, and
course,
obviously she's got
yeah,
like a really sweet little girl's voice, but then when the insecticide gets on her, she like this comes out, and she then just like goes
it,
into like this deep voice, demonic woman's
yeah,
voice, and I'm like, oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Girl, just imagine 02, but a bit angry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there might be
yeah,
people who
and of
don't know who Zero
course,
Two are.
yeah, basic Darling in the Franks. It's good anime. Ending is terrible.
Yeah,
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 but
yeah.
yeah, and of course they actually make it clear that she actually hates her natural voice because well, yeah, she finds it repulsive.
She
But
just wants to
everyone,
sound like a
well,
sweet little girl.
yeah, but everyone tells her, no, that sounds good, but she just doesn't care. She wants to sound younger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, so yeah, the battle ends with them all with Momon winning the fight, and they learn some interesting information about the new syndicate that they've taken over. Now that is the end of season 2. What would you rate this one, Will?
okay, I would rate it like a 7. Like it's good, but it's not as good as season 1. You
Okay.
know, like
Mm-hmm.
as I said before, it's very much like um the side quests. You know,
Yeah.
like that. This is all of like the really important side quests that you need to do to carry on with main story. But it's kind
Mm.
of like when in games where it's like, all the side quests have something to do with the main story,
Yeah.
right? So that like the main story, yeah, like in the game is spread apart into them as well. So of course it's important to so you understand the story as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So wait, did you say what rating you'd give it?
Like a 7.
Okay, 7. That's cool. 7 out of 10. I'd I don't know whether or not I should give it a 0.5 or not. I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna agree with you. Just say 7.
Mm.
It's not the best season of Overlord, but it is good.
Yeah. It's similar to its theme. Because of
Yeah.
course it's okay, it has a good opening, but the opening of the theme is like, okay, it sounds a bit too like um too much like something similar to like Beyblade or something.
I
But
knew you were
then
gonna say that.
but yeah, but then like near the end it actually gets quite good.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
yeah. And it's pretty much the same thing because the first half of the theme actually focuses on Cocytus and the Lizardmen, whereas the second half like focuses on like Momon, Demiurge, Entma, and Blue Rose.
Mm. Well, it's all like it's a good story. Like I feel like I was just about to say something. I feel like it's a good story. It's a stat. I would say that season 1 is like an unexpected, like another world adventure in a fantasy world, whereas the second season
Yeah,
is just a
well,
standard
season
fantasy. It's just standard fantasy. Season 2 is.
yeah, because I see like season 1 as being like, this is the grand beginning, and then like season 2 is like, it's just like just normal like fantasy stuff. Whereas
Yeah,
then you go back to season 3 and it's more like darker. You
yeah,
know, it's like the first half of season 2 is more lighter,
yeah,
but then the second half is darker, but it's not as dark as like season 1 or 3.
yeah. So now we've done with that, we'll move on to season 3. Now we're going to quickly run through
Yes.
season 3. Now,
Okay.
season 3 I kind of feel like it's all one giant story arc
Yeah. Yeah, okay,
because
but
we have
there,
like elements
there are
from
some
like the beginning
exceptions.
that tie into the last part.
Yeah, but there are some exceptions as well, though.
Yeah. So the beginning of it just follows Ain's trying to like make sure that the floor guardians have like time to themselves, so like he gives them a day off. All three so the three female floor guardians have a moment where they are by like a river side in the Great Tomb of Nazarick, and they explain stuff. And you
Oh,
find out that
see.
Albedo cannot ride her
Okay.
bicorn, and she's wondering, oh, I don't know why I can't ride this bicorn. And it turns out from a bestial encyclopedia that Shouter has that
Bestiary.
bestiary, whatever it is, I don't know. It
Yeah.
turns out that that unicorns can only be ridden by pure maidens, whereas bicorns are the opposite. They can only be ridden by unpure maidens, which means that Albedo is a virgin, which is
Yes,
weird because she's a
because
succubus.
yes, Albedo, the Virgin Succubus. So essentially,
Weird
she
thing.
failed successfully. It's like
Yeah.
task failed successfully.
Because, okay, if you know what succubus is, then you know what it is, and you know what they do. And
Yeah.
Albedo is just. Albedo turns out that she's not done what she's meant to do as her species. And yeah, that's basically what it
Yeah.
is.
And of course, she was waiting until like for the perfect person.
Mm,
And
this
Fred, I
week.
remember, yeah, and I remember, Fred, you brought up a good point where, of course, Albedo wants to have like Ainz's child, but here's the thing: technically, she can't since she's a succubus.
Yeah, but there's also the point where Ainz cannot obviously cannot give people children because he's obviously a skeleton.
Yes, but
So
yeah, but of course, I'm pretty sure you told me that would be able to like put on like a human form as well. Though
I
I think.
found no. I apparently this was one of the things that searched up, like about him. He can. It turns out that he cannot give um people children. Like obviously he cannot impregnate women. Like oh, he cannot make them pregnant. So that's never going to happen. So it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. This
Okay,
is
this is just getting really weird now.
yeah.
Didn't expect this to be just a point. Anyway, let's move on before I start feeling weird about this.
Yeah, like,
Um,
your friend's probably going to be just sat down watching this, just going like, "What are they on about?"
Luke is just going to be like, "This is what he wanted me to let him do." Nah.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously, this is what you wanted to do. But no, I think it's so obviously this season does get better. Um,
Yeah.
but we go back to Karn Village, which is the village from the first season, and the person who's leading at the moment is the young girl that Ainz saved,
Yeah.
and she has
So,
to go
wait,
through
so
like a whole bit
did
of
we say?
development.
So did we mention what Ainz gave her?
No, we didn't. So he gave her a horn that when she blows
Chickens.
on it, it would summon like a large group of goblins.
Yeah, well, a
They are
small.
in this village. They're in this village, and they have built these wooden like walls around the village
Yeah,
to stop monsters from getting
yeah.
in.
Like in season one, it's wooden, but then in season three, you can see that it's full on stone ones now.
Hmm. And we see that obviously they have like their own individual like names and voices, and obviously they're trying to maintain like peace within the village and also within the forest. Now, all this gets stirred up when two legendary creatures. So a legendary giant, not gyrant, giant.
Yes, Giant of the
And
East and the Snake of the West,
yeah,
I think.
so the Great Serpent of the West come together to try and take on a mysterious enemy. Knowing this, Ainz investigates and finds out that it is a different. So it's a group of trolls and a naga who are trying to obviously take over this forest and cause a bit of mayhem. It's interesting. And Ainz goes in, defeats all of them, and tries to do a bit of an experiment where he gets them to attack Karn village to see if the defenses will hold. This attack happens, and the village holds off all of the trolls, and the leader of them goes in and basically just gets killed. But yeah, that's how this is how the story goes.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's where the first arc is. That's the first arc. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Now, the second part of this arc takes place in the Baharu Empire, and we follow Momon and Nabe going through the city, learning about how it's different than the Prestige Empire, Prestige Kingdom. And this story follows a group of adventurers who have been given a quest to break into an ancient tomb, which actually turns out to be the Great Tomb of Nazarick. And the whole goal.
Oh, yes. Okay, I
You
just
like
want to
this?
say this. Okay, I'm just going to say this, right? I'm just going to bring up the name both of us have given the episodes, the in episode when they actually go into the tomb.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Welcome to Bone Daddy's Pleasure Palace. As well, though.
Yeah. So many people have given it that title, and it's so strange but funny at the same time.
Yes, I know, but it's but still, it's Overlord has some itchy stuff in it. So
Ichi. Try and look that up.
yeah, itchy till I die.
Oh, please stop.
I'm
Please, I
sorry.
don't
Well,
want to
you're
get
the one that keeps
demonetized. Yeah.
dying.
Anyway,
So, you're the one that keeps
so
us sick.
their whole thing is to try and break into Nazarick and claim all the treasures they have. This is a test that was put out by Ainz and the other floor guardians to see if people can actually get past their defenses. And in a climactic battle, Ainz shows off that he can actually pull off some really, really interesting moves with a sword and a shield, and then changing up to using magic. And he makes one of the most funniest things where they're like, if you don't release him right now, the strongest man in the world is gonna come in here and kill you. And Ainz is like, oh really? And who's that? And they're like, it's the Raven hero Momon. He's like, oh Momon, really? Well, I don't think he's going to be helping you. Little did they know that he is Momon.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember he said oh, remember one? Yes, yeah, I know him. It's
Oh,
and he just insinuates that he's just there and just insinuating, oh yeah, we're best mates.
just like, oh Momon, I don't think he'll help you because we have a bit of an agreement. So yeah, you're on your own. And in the end, they all get killed. Now the funny thing is, there's a young girl in this group who Shoutier kills, and her voice gets taken by Entema, and now
Yeah,
Entema sounds like this girl. And one of the comments Albedo makes is, "Do you really feel confident in hearing the voice of a thief?" And Ain's response is, to be honest, she seemed like a really kind and I'm trying to think of the word. She was like a kind person and was supportive of her friends. So that's all she.
Yeah.
So
It was
he
like,
respect.
because Ainz also essentially just insinuates that he's just there going, oh, as long as this Entima's happy. Because he's just go like, well, she's happy with it, so why not let her keep it?
Entima's like his daughter, so
Yeah, I think it was all of the Pleiades are like his daughters to them.
yeah,
Yeah, but I kind of feel that Entima is even more like a daughter to him for some reason.
yeah.
Yeah, because I remember for like a certain time, I kind of had a theory. It was Entima created by Ainz, but then of
She was
course,
not.
yeah, then we looked it up and found out, oh no, she isn't.
No.
Yeah,
The person who
I
did
just want
create
to,
her, I don't actually know what he was.
I just want to address this real quickly.
Go on then.
The consistency with Entima's mask. Right, in season one, you see that the eyes are able to close, right? But then in season two and three, nothing. It was like the eyes don't move in two and three, yet they do in season one.
Yeah,
Just yeah, it's something weird which I picked up on.
yeah. Anyway, so the final part of this season is where Ainz meets with the Emperor of the Baharu Empire and says, I'm going to be starting my own kingdom, and I invite you here just to see what you were thinking about it, and just to prove that if you were thinking about resisting me, I could literally kill you within a second. And he fully intimidates everyone. And by the end of this, a massive battle ensues between the Prestige Kingdom versus Ainz and the Baharu Empire. Like, he decimates hundreds of thousands of men on a battlefield with just his magic. And when they all are just put, so he uses like a paralysis spell that knocks out like multiple soldiers, like they're led on the floor, and a massive like blob, like this massive blob of like black stuff is just spreading across them, on top of them, and they all form into like these things called, I don't know what they're like. So he calls them goats, and they're like these giant like masses
No,
of
no, it
black.
was cheap, I think.
So they're called sheep at the beginning, but then Ein says, "Oh, I think goats would be better," and they make like a noise of like a sheep and a goat, but they're like these like giant tentacle like monsters that have like massive mouths, and they just go through the battlefield like stomping. And by the end of it, it comes down to the king needing to retreat, and also to have Ainz versus Gaz of Stronov, and they consider each other friends. Ainz says to him, "I want you to join me because you're a
Right.
very interesting person, and I want you around."
But I just
Mm-hmm.
looked up what they're called and I refuse to say their name.
Why?
Um,
So wait, hold on. Let me look this up.
just
Don't
type
that
in Overlord.
goat? Um,
Let's just call them Shub. Let's just call them Shubs.
Shubs. I've just typed it in, and it just
Yeah,
says
let's just.
Dark Young. It just says Dark Young.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Apparently yours is different from mine.
I don't know. I'll have to have it. I'll have to have a look more into it, but you know. Um, yeah. So he basically looks at this and thinks, "Oh, okay. I don't like." Gazov Stronov thinks that this looks at this situation. Thinks if I can defeat Ainz right here, then I can stop all this. And it comes down to a bit of a showdown between Ainz versus Stronov. Now, this is actually something interesting because a lot of people do not like how this fight goes, because we think, oh, we're gonna have like an
Yeah.
all-out like fight between them, and like they're gonna like nearly like go to a standstill. Ainz basically stops time when the fight begins, goes over, puts a death spell on him, and then kills him. And then unfreezes time, and then is like, sorry, he's dead. I've just killed him. So sad. Too bad. That was that. Now, I think this could have been better if they'd actually gone for a proper fight.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Fred, what's the perk that goes with his armor?
It's meant to dispel death spells,
Yeah. Whereas,
but
like,
apparently not.
yeah,
But you know, I like Ainz as a character, but I kind of feel like this could have been a bit more better. But yeah, so the story ends. So this arc ends with Ainz telling everyone in the Prestige Empire, Prestige Kingdom, sorry, to get out because he wants to take ownership of the kingdom because it belongs to him. They actually do it. They get out, and he takes over this kingdom. Now, that is where the story ends. What would you? Oh shit! Sorry, nearly pulled my earphones out. What would you rate this season, Will?
okay, I would say that it is better than season one. So I'm going to have
Oh, okay.
I'm going to have to say a 9.
You're gonna say 9.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that one thing which kind of boosts it up as well, though, might actually be the theme.
I'm gonna have to say an 8. I'm gonna say an 8.
Okay.
I say that season 1 is my favorite. Season 3 is my second favorite, and then season 2 is obviously my last favorite out of the 3.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. I like all of them similar.
Yeah, my personal favorite one is season 3.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. But okay. So you're giving it a 9, and I'm giving it an 8. I just went proper Bristolian then.
Yeah.
I just went proper Bristolian then, so yeah, that was fun. Yeah. Now they have said that there is going to be another season.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about this for too long. We're just going to spend like probably a minute or so just talking about what we expect to see. So yeah, here we go. I expect to see like a bit more antics and where it's just like they boost up like how much action and how much like devastation they can actually pack into this next season. What do you think, Will?
Um. Wait, say it again.
I kind of want them to boost the antics so like we have like more action and devastation.
Yeah, I do agree as well, though. Okay, one thing which I actually kind of would want to see again, of course, as I said before, I want to see Kakaitis with the lizard men, like
Yeah.
how he's dealing with the tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing which I actually kind of would want to see again, because of course, season 1, 2, and 3, all 3 of them ended kind of like with a type of with like a rivalry like a like a rivalry
Yeah.
going down. Like season 1 had Ainz versus Shouter. Season 2 had Entma versus Blue Rose. And season 3 had of course Ainz versus
Sure enough.
um yeah, Sternoff. And I kind of feel that season 4 should either be the rematch between Enter and Evil Eye or Brain Unglas versus Shouter.
Yeah, that would actually be cool. I like that.
Yeah,
Because those
that
are
should
two rivalries that have
be
not
like
been
the
done yet. That
yeah
have not been finished.
which haven't been settled properly.
Yeah.
But I remember I feel that Brain is going to narrowly escape Shouter because they'd probably want to do it so that Brain tries to avenge like the death of
Gazeth.
yeah. So he'd probably end up trying to fight Ainz afterwards.
Yeah, but obviously Ainz would just kill him. So it's not much point
Yeah,
in that.
yeah, but I kind of feel that he would see what happened to Gazeth, right, and would try to work around it.
Hmm.
But I
Well,
feel that he'd want to avenge him, but the rivalry he'd end up getting into would probably be him against Shouter.
yeah.
Or if it goes but with the meme I made, Shoucher.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that season 4 is as good as season 2 and 3, because both those were actually solid seasons.
Yeah,
They're quite good. I do rate them as quite high. But
yeah.
yeah.
I would say that I would want to see like more of like the characters which we haven't seen as much. Like of
Hmm.
course in season 2 and 3 we saw a lot of Narbarol, um, Entma and Lupus Regina.
Yeah.
And I'd quite like to see more of like Yuri Alpha or I keep on forgetting her name, the one which is just like a bunch of numbers.
Oh, Delta.
Yeah, yeah, them three. Yeah, them two. I would want to see more of them because, of course,
Yeah.
we haven't gotten much. Because like of course, we're obviously going to see more of like Lucas Regina and the others, but I would want to see more of the other Pleiades and probably the remaining Floor Guardian that which we may not have seen yet, but we may have, like the giant one, because
Mm.
we might have seen him in
Yeah.
um, season 2, but we don't know if that was him or not.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, um, yeah. So that is our discussion on Overlord so far.
Hmm.
If they do another season, then we'll possibly come back and do a review on it, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is going to be the end of it for today, guys. If you want more, then please subscribe to the Off the Mark channel. Drop a comment if you like this episode, and we will see you guys later.
yeah,
You want to say bye, Will?
yeah. Bye, everyone. Um, yeah, it's a bit. Of course, it's new because since it's my first time doing anything similar to this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My brother Will. So my brother Will has a YouTube channel and a Twitch account that he does gaming on. So I'll drop those into the description, and if you want to go over and look at him, please do. I will put my own YouTube channel if you want to go and look at that. But yeah, please come back for more if you want to. So I will see you guys later. Goodbye.
Yeah, bye.